So we've talked about gray divorce and the uptick of gray divorce. That's people getting divorced in like their 50s, like 55 or something. So let's talk about how it is impacting people's bottom line, their financial future. Gray divorce is skyrocketing among baby boomers. It can wreak havoc on their retirement. When Kimberly Davis got divorced from her husband of over 20 years in her early 50s, the financial and emotional consequences were akin to a nuclear explosion in her life. Having moved from the US to England for her husband's career, she had to cut all ties with her home of over a decade and head back to the States. She also needed to rebuild her career in finance after quitting to care for her three children. The divorce dragged on, costing both her and her ex husband more money. That decision destroyed my economic life. I was 54 years old. People were not clamoring to hire me. Problems piled up. Having lived abroad for so long, her credit in the US was non existent, making it difficult to find housing on her own. Her lowest moment was asking her father to act as a guarantor so she could rent a house. And she had a difficult time finding work after decades out of the corporate world. Davis eventually landed a job at Morgan Stanley and is now a financial advisor and author. Despite earning good money, she is still playing catch up with her retirement savings. And I highlighted this part. She's having a difficult time finding work after decades out of the corporate world. This is important for women to know and understand that getting a part time job and getting back into the workforce is important because there's going to be a time when your children, even in the best of circumstances, go out of the house. You are an empty nester and may want to go back to work, or you may have to go back to work. You need to keep your skills up to date. You need to keep your certifications up to date and your education up to date in your field because so many things change and things are happening so quickly. So keep up to date. It is definitely in your benefit. Davis's story exemplifies some of the perils of gray divorce, which describes spouses separating after the age of 50. While overall divorce rates in the US have fallen over the past 20 years, they've actually increased in older couples. Currently, almost 40% of those getting divorced are over 50 years old. Since the 1990s, gray divorce has doubled, according to the Pew Research Center. For those over 65, the divorce rates have tripled. Divorce at any age will lead to emotional and financial fallout, but it can be particularly devastating to older Americans. Not only is the process likely to be more complicated because of decades of accruing assets together, but each spouse has far less time to rebuild their finances before retirement, particularly investments. The financial implications are huge. You're looking at much more complex finances. They could own businesses, stock needs to be divided, says Kelly Mald, Senior Vice President and Financial Advisor at Johnson Financial Group. We've seen an increase in hidden assets. Wow. There are any number of reasons couples divorce later in life, says Mold. Many couples wait until their kids are grown and out of the house to separate. For others, retirement can bring long simmering resentments to a head when spouses are spending significantly more time together. Divorce is also far more socially acceptable than it used to be. Whatever the reason, both spouses suffer. For older couples, the splitting of retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, pensions, and so on, can be a messy and expensive financial hit. This is in part because of the way 401ks and pension plans are split is governed by a qualified domestic relations order, while IRAs are distributed depending on if they were opened before or during marriage. Additionally, the partner who had a lower paying job or wasn't working outside the home may see their Social Security benefits slashed depending on how long they were married. The sale of assets, including the home, cars, etc., can also be costly, and one spouse may owe the other alimony. You'll start over. The financial effects are especially pronounced for older women, research shows. Generally speaking, women in heterosexual marriages are more likely than men to drop out of the workforce in their prime earning years to care for children, putting them at a disadvantage in the divorce proceedings and after the split is finalized. Often they must try to re enter the labor force for the first time in years or even decades. I highlighted this part because many times the reasons why there is a wage gap is because women fall out of the workforce for a gap of time. This means that when they come back, they have to start over, start at a lower wage. It's not simply because women are underqualified for these jobs. It's just that the seniority is lost. And so, this is one of the reasons why, yes, I understand taking time out to bond with your baby and all of that. I have two kids, I have been home with them for the whole time. But the thing is, even if I were to try to go back into corporate America, I would be starting over essentially after being gone for more than a decade. It would be very, very challenging, and it would be a hit to have to start all the way over in my 40s. So please know and understand when you take on that role to sacrifice your finances and drop out in your prime earning years, this could have financial impacts for your retirement years. All older adults who live alone are much less likely to describe their financial situation favorably, according to Pew. But 19% of women who lived alone were in poverty in 2014, compared to 15% of men. I don't like that they're using percentages that are more than 10 years old, is now 2024. And women 50 and older experience a 45% decline in their standard of living post divorce, compared to 21% for men, a 2021 study from the Journals of Gerontology found. Of course, men suffer from gray divorces. Older men who live alone are considerably more likely to experience social isolation than women who live alone, per Pew. Mold says this tracks. Anecdotally, she says male clients aren't always adept at keeping up with their families and friends post divorce, as women often are, particularly if they remarry. Now, I want to pause there. A lot of the times, the moms were intimately involved in the day to day with their children and their home life and keeping connections with other family. Men have not been tasked to. So, that is the reason why they suffer socially. And when divorce happens, their emotional health declines. With that, I'm going to leave that there. I just am putting this out there because women of right now, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're looking to take time out of your career, on your career path, making money, you need to be planning, because a lot of people are getting married, divorced in their 50s for whatever reason. Maybe they're tired of asking the same thing. Maybe they have hit the limit for the tolerable level of permanent unhappiness, and they're just like, no, I'm tired of asking the same thing over and over. Maybe they're just like, I want to live the last 5 years of my life in peace and whatever. So just keep that in mind. Keep your finances in mind. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I was sent this article, and I think that it would be quite appropriate to share with my audience. Pregnant TikToker on why she refuses to share baby updates with her in laws. I will not be my husband's kin keeper. A lot of times, women are the ones with the social connections, keeping everybody abreast of what is going on. And some people are saying some of these men need to do some of the emotional labor as well. Last week, Morgan Elisa Strickle posted a video on social media detailing a conversation she had with her husband that had gone viral after she discussed it online. So I refuse to be the primary communicator with my husband's side of the family, Strickle said, noting that she previously got a lot of hate regarding the issue. According to the mom to be, the touchy topic came up again, so she was ready to rehash the issue. A few weeks ago, my mother in law was on the phone with us, and she expressed that she was like a little bit hurt because she keeps finding out things about our pregnancy from her sister, who sees the post on social media. Now, this was kind of news to me because I thought my husband had been communicating with his mom and stepdad. I didn't know he hadn't, she claimed. Things took a turn when Strickle said she reminded her spouse the night before their ultrasound to remind his mother of the appointment so that her feelings aren't hurt. His response: "Why don't you just send it to my mom?" She shared that she declined his offer, informing him that that it was not her responsibility, that she communicates with her side of the family, and he does the same with his. Strickle then named her key points of her argument. Number one, I'm not his king keeper. If he wants to maintain a relationship with the people in his life and have them know information about our lives, that is 100% on him. Number two, I think this tends to fall on women's shoulders because it's either assumed that they have a larger social battery and that they have more time. Neither of those things are true in our relationship. My husband has a much larger social battery than I do, and he also tends to have more free time. Just because I like to work on projects outside of work, continued Strickle continued before making her last point. But third and final, not a single person would look at my husband as if it was his responsibility if my mom was left out of the loop. If my mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter. If his mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter in law. So, regardless, there's no responsibility expected from him. This is reality a lot of the times. And just like the gray divorce situation, this is one of the reasons why men suffer in social isolation when a divorce happens, because a lot of the time the woman has been the glue keeping the families connected. Still, Strickle remained adamant that she and her spouse had a partnership that worked. The following day, she shared an update saying that she and her husband had a really good conversation following her previous TikTok. Strickle also denied that the topic was an ongoing issue in their marriage. Your boundaries and communication skills are so on point, one person wrote in the comment section. Another added, glad you're addressing this now. With kids, it continues to become overwhelming when you're the default parent who has to communicate things like kids, sports schedules, birthday celebrations, etc. Absolutely. And I just think that we got to continue to have this conversation so that women know to ask for, um, to say these things, not even ask for help, but just to say these things and have these expectations up front. We got to start saying these things up front so that it's just not such a big surprise that, no, I'm not going to do all of this. You have to make some of these phone calls. You got to send out some of these emails yourself. This is a partnership. I'm not your secretary. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
So I refuse to be the primary communicator with my husband's side of the family. And I want to talk about this. I got a lot of hate on here about this a couple of Christmases ago, but it came up again last night. So let's chat about it. So a few weeks ago, my mother-in-law was on the phone with us and she expressed that she was like a little bit hurt because she keeps finding out things about our pregnancy from her sister who sees the posts on social media. Now, this was kind of news to me because I thought my husband had been communicating with his mom and stepdad. I didn't know he hadn't been. So we were talking about an upcoming ultrasound last night and I said, yeah, don't forget to send that to your mom so that her feelings aren't hurt. And he said, why don't you just send it to my mom? And I said, no, sir, not my responsibility. I communicate with my side of the family. You communicate with your side of the family. And we had a little discord about this. Essentially, he thinks it's not that much more responsibility for me to tell his mom about it and have a conversation with her about it. And I say, that is not my responsibility. It's your responsibility to communicate that to your people because it's my responsibility to communicate that to my people. So essentially, we had a little back and forth, and these are my points to him. Number one, I'm not his kin keeper. If he wants to maintain a relationship with the people in his life and have them know information about our lives, that is 100% on him. Number two, I think this tends to fall on women's shoulders because it's either assumed that they have a larger social battery or that they have more time. Neither of those things are true in our relationship. My husband has a much larger social battery than I do. And he also tends to have more free time just because I like to take on projects outside of work. But third and final, not a single person would look to my husband as it was his responsibility if my mom was left out of the loop. If my mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter. If his mom doesn't know what's going on, I'm a bad daughter-in-law. But that's not how things work in our relationship. We are a partnership. He has his responsibility. I have my responsibility. That's how it's always worked. He knew I was like this from day one. So anyway, essentially I left it like this with him. Do you want your mom to have this information? And he said yes. And I said, then it's your responsibility to make sure she gets it. And since I think people are going to ask, I don't have a bad relationship with my mother-in-law. We do communicate about things. I just don't want it to be my sole responsibility to make sure she's getting information. I married a grown adult who had good communication with his mom before I met him. There's no reason that that should be shifted onto my responsibility plate now that we're together. Did I publish a video for the world to see? I did. I did. Did I agree to do an interview about said video? I did. I did. Am I now sitting here riddled with anxiety? I am. I am.
Now I want to talk about responsibilities with a newborn. So this picture collage was connected to a post that I saw on Facebook, actually that I was tagged in on Facebook. Here's the post. My husband can't watch our newborn to let me shower. My husband and I had a baby 2 weeks ago. She's strictly breastfed, so I can't do much without her, and I'm completely okay with that. But one thing is driving me crazy. I can't take a shower alone. I barely get 2 to 3 minutes before the baby cries, and then my husband brings her in because it nearly makes him cry whenever she does. With that said, his life hasn't changed at all. He takes his 30 to 60-minute uninterrupted showers daily. He doesn't understand my frustration whenever he showers. That's the only thing that bothers me. I want to shower. I want to sit under the water and relax my muscles. But like I said, every time I attempt it, the baby starts crying and he brings her into the shower with me instead of trying to calm her down himself. I love my baby. I love being with her. I'm just so tired and need 15 minutes for myself. What would you do in my place? It is so unfortunate that so many women face these same issues and are talking about this on multiple platforms. Different races, different countries of origin, different cultures, women are saying the same thing. Is it any wonder that the birth rate is plummeting to hell? Is it any wonder that women are going for B? Is it any wonder that women are child free by choice? Because it is baked into the cake that women are supposed to do it all. And the help that men provide is extra, it's a bonus. It's not that they are supposed to be partners with raising these people, is that I'm just going to give you a smidge of time to yourself and just help you out. The reason things are going the way they are is because women are tired of shouldering the majority of the household chores and the child rearing. And that's the reason why a lot of women are saying to themselves, it would be easier if I was just a single mom, because dad is simply just there, a piece of furniture in the home and not even participating. That's one of the reasons why when people talk about having two parents in the household is so important. It is if both are actively participating in child rearing. It's not if there's an able-bodied adult that is not doing their part and not doing their part of the partnership. So, some of the comments. One of the things I want you guys to notice about the comments are the races of the people. It is a mixture, and the women are saying similar things. Kelly wants to know, how do y'all deal with spouses like this to even have babies with them? He wasn't selfish before. I will say that having a baby does change the dynamics of things. You don't see how things will be when people are deprived, healing, stressed because of crying and everything. You don't see that when there's no baby attached to the relationship. Amia says that's weaponized incompetence, is abusive. I would have him move the F out and divorce his butt. And what I like about this is that we're actively talking about weaponized incompetence so much in different platforms across the board. We're talking about it consistently, and more women need to see what it is. Ashley says, lock the door. He will have to figure it out. He was able to figure out how to get you pregnant. I'm pretty sure he will be able to figure out how to sit with the baby for 15 minutes. Lainey says, weaponized incompetence. Maram says, my husband was exactly like that. When things got better and I started pumping milk and storing it for him, he would find other reasons to hand the baby over to me. If I took 5 minutes to poop or shower, it eventually got to the point where anything I would do other than cook or look after the baby would be considered as me being useless. We are now getting divorced. I'm not saying get divorced, but the more you give in, the more he will take it for granted. Chrissy says, lock the damn door and get those 15 minutes. He will be okay. Aaron says, you need to communicate to your husband your boundaries and come to a mutual agreement and talk to him about his fear of soothing his own baby. Help him be a good father. He probably has no faith in himself. Women have to shoulder so much of the coddling of these people, and it's wild. Heather is trying to figure out 30 to 60-minute showers. What is that man doing in there? Wasting time, playing on his phone, looking at something inappropriate on his phone. Who knows? It doesn't matter. He could be twiddling his thumbs, but he's not participating with the child care. That's what we know. Okay, I want to talk about Link's cult. Link says, not the answer you're looking for, but I wouldn't have had a kid at all. What a miserable life that is, if you ask me. Not even getting 15 minutes to take a shower or decompress. No thanks. I value my freedom too much for that. Now, obviously, Link's is very unhelpful because the baby is here. So telling her what she should have done doesn't really help. But this is what child free women are seeing. They're seeing these posts and they're like, not for me. These types of posts are going to make women go 4B hardcore, child free hardcore, because why would a child free woman sign up for this? And then Arian at the bottom. Link's cult, the most freeing thing in the world is realizing life is about loving and caring for others. Having children is the goal of all life. Yes, it's an inconvenience when they are helpless. However, when they get older, when they are older, they help you out. It's our children that end up bathing us and changing our diapers when we're 90 years old. LOL. So, Ariana wants to have babies so that they become your helpers. So you are birthing people to serve you. And she's talking about the diaper thing when you get old. You're birthing your retirement plan. I get tired of this take from mothers. Your children are not your retirement plan. You should not be birthing people to help you in old age. That is unfair to them. And I say that as a mother. All right, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think of this post. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.